オッケー、分かってきた。
楽しいです。
フィギュアスケート陸流ペアと行く東カナダ美形巡りスペシャル、7月23日日曜日午後5時放送です。お楽しみに。
Have you ever met someone who could somehow board a train and end up traveling in the exact opposite direction? Or someone who could look at their partner, who happens to be 9 years older, and casually say, honestly, we're about the same mentally? You'd probably assume they're joking, but in this case, they weren't. The person behind those unforgettable moments is Riku Miura, an Olympic medalist, a world champion, one half of the greatest pair team in Japanese figure skating history. Yet despite all those incredible achievements, her skating partner, Ryuichi Kihara, revealed something that completely surprised fans. Looking straight into the camera, he laughed and said, "If I leave Riku alone, we're in serious trouble. She'll definitely get on a train going the wrong way." Everyone burst into laughter, but there was something fascinating about the way he said it. He was smiling, yet his expression carried the confidence of someone speaking from years of personal experience. That moment happened during a special television trip through Quebec, Canada, in the summer of 2023. Fresh off one of the greatest seasons in figure skating history, Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara were invited to explore the breathtaking landscapes of Mont Tremblant alongside actor Shinichi Weigo. Viewers expected stunning scenery, towering forests, crystal-clear lakes, and Canada's famous maple syrup. Instead, they witnessed something even more unforgettable. For the very first time, fans saw who Riku and Ryuichi really were once they stepped away from the ice. To understand why this journey became so meaningful, we have to go back to what happened earlier that year. For Riku and Ryuichi, 2023 wasn't just another successful season. It was history in the making. They captured the World Championship, won the Grand Prix final, claimed the Japanese National Championship, and completed a clean sweep, unlike anything Japanese pair skating had ever seen. Their names suddenly became known all over the world. Every competition placed them under brighter spotlights. Every interview drew more attention. Yet despite becoming international stars, the two escaped to the peaceful mountains of Mont Tremblant during a break from training. Located nearly 1,000 meters above sea level, the famous Canadian resort transforms with every season. Lush green forests in summer, brilliant autumn colors, snow-covered landscapes in winter. It was the perfect setting to discover another side of two world champions. No one imagined that just minutes into the trip, one simple conversation would completely steal the show. Ryuichi smiled and repeated the story. If Riku is by herself, she'll definitely end up on the wrong train. Suddenly, every prestigious title disappeared. There were no Olympic medals, no world championship trophies. Just an older partner worrying about someone he genuinely cared about. It felt less like an interview and more like watching family tease each other. What made the moment even funnier was Riku's response. She didn't argue, she didn't defend herself. Instead, she simply smiled and admitted, "I honestly don't know why that happens." That innocent answer made everyone laugh even harder. But think about it for a second. How could Ryuichi say it with such certainty? Because he'd seen it happen. Again and again. For years, they had lived and trained together in Oakville, Canada. No one knew Riku's everyday habits better than he did. When he said she would absolutely board the wrong train, it wasn't a joke. It was years of first-hand experience speaking. And Riku knew it. Instead of denying it, she laughed because she knew he wasn't exaggerating. That tiny exchange revealed something much deeper than comedy. It revealed 7 years of complete trust. The conversation soon shifted to another surprising routine. Every single morning, before leaving the house, Ryuichi would perform what fans later called the forgetfulness check. Wallet, passport, phone, he checked everything, because according to him, if he didn't, something would almost certainly be left behind. It had become such a normal part of their lives that neither of them even questioned it anymore. What seemed ordinary to them quickly became extraordinary for viewers. Social media exploded. Fans couldn't stop talking about it. "I love how Ryuichi always checks everything for her. They're basically a family. You can feel 7 years of trust in one simple habit." Within hours, hashtags about the famous forgetfulness check began trending online. Even people who had never watched figure skating before found themselves captivated. The reason wasn't difficult to understand. People weren't watching Olympic champions. They were watching two people who genuinely looked after each other. Away from the medals, away from the pressure, away from the cameras. And that simple glimpse into their everyday lives made millions of fans fall in love with them all over again. Riku's reaction to the horse was priceless. The moment she looked at its face, she couldn't hold back her laughter. Fans immediately flooded social media, saying, "That's so Riku." It was another reminder that behind the Olympic medals was someone wonderfully genuine, someone who never tried to hide her natural personality. But as memorable as those funny moments were, the most meaningful discussion from the entire trip came from something incredibly small, something most viewers almost missed. A jacket zipper. After the episode aired, a single screenshot quietly spread across social media. Wait, why didn't Ryuichi zip up Riku's jacket? The image showed Riku standing in the cold Canadian air with her jacket partially unzipped. Ryuichi had clearly noticed it, yet he didn't reach over to close it. Almost instantly, fans began debating the moment. Was he being careless? Was he being cold? Or was there something deeper going on? As thousands of comments poured in, one interpretation slowly became the overwhelming favorite. It wasn't that he refused to help her. It was that he knew she didn't need him to. Think about it. This was the same man who spent 7 years checking every morning to make sure she hadn't forgotten her wallet, passport, or phone. The same partner who drove her to practice, cooked meals, looked after countless little details that most people never saw. If anyone would have zipped up her jacket, it would have been Ryuichi. So perhaps the fact that he didn't was actually the greatest sign of trust, because sometimes believing someone can handle something themselves is a stronger expression of love than doing it for them. Suddenly, another conversation from earlier in the trip took on a completely different meaning. When Riku smiled and said, "We are basically the same mentally," it wasn't an insult, it wasn't a joke, it was the language of equals. And when Ryuichi laughed about her boarding trains in the wrong direction, Riku never argued, she simply laughed with him. That laughter revealed something words couldn't fully explain. She wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't defensive. She trusted the person who knew her better than anyone else. After 7 years together, there was no need to pretend, no need to protect appearances. They could simply laugh together. That may have been the truest glimpse of who they really are away from competition. By now, the journey had become much more than a sightseeing trip through Canada. The funny stories, the forgotten belongings, the train rides, the maple candy, the unexpected poses, and even the unzipped jacket. Together, they formed a portrait of a partnership built over years of shared experiences. But beneath every laugh was a much deeper question. What did all of these moments actually tell us about Riku and Ryuichi? The answer lies in the unique nature of pair skating itself. Many people assume pair skating is simple. The stronger partner lifts, the lighter partner is lifted, one leads, the other follows, but according to Ryuichi himself, that's completely wrong. In a past interview, he explained something that perfectly captures the essence of their sport. A successful lift depends on how Riku places her weight. I'm not lifting her by myself. I can lift her because she trusts me completely. Those words reveal the secret behind every seemingly effortless performance. Strength isn't one-sided, it's shared. It constantly moves back and forth between two people. Sometimes one partner supports, sometimes the other does. That same rhythm exists far beyond the ice. Ryuichi checks the forgotten items, he drives, he cooks. He quietly handles countless responsibilities. Meanwhile, Riku supports him emotionally. She covers for his own absent-minded moments. She makes him laugh. She reminds him not to carry everything alone. Neither completes the other. They strengthen each other, and perhaps that's why their skating appears so effortless. Perfect synchronization doesn't begin with technique. It begins with trust. Every lift, every throw, every landing, every movement lasting only a few seconds is built upon thousands of ordinary moments shared away from the rink. Maybe that's why this Canadian journey resonated with so many people around the world. Fans weren't simply watching world champions on vacation. They were seeing the invisible foundation behind every medal. Another person who deserves enormous credit for revealing that side of them was photographer and host Shinichi Weigo. During competitions, cameras capture athletes at their most focused. Their expressions are serious, their movements calculated. Everything revolves around winning. But this trip was different, walking through snowy forests, making maple taffy inside a traditional sugar shack, laughing through failed photo shoots. Slowly, those competitive masks disappeared. Weigo's calm personality allowed both skaters to relax in ways audiences had never seen before. One photograph in particular became unforgettable. As the Canadian sun dipped below the horizon, Ryuichi stood alone in the snow, bathed in warm golden light. The image quickly spread across social media. Fans nicknamed it Sunset Ryuichi. Many admitted they had never seen him this way before. Normally, he was photographed beside Riku. This rare solo portrait revealed another side of his personality, quiet, reflective, and surprisingly cinematic. Comments flooded in almost immediately. The sunset and Ryuichi together are simply breathtaking. Weigo is a genius behind the camera. Then someone posted something that quickly went viral. They placed the elegant sunset portrait beside a clip of Ryuichi suddenly striking his hilarious seal pose. The caption read, "These are the same person." The contrast perfectly captured why fans adore him. One moment he looks like the hero of a movie. The next, he's making everyone burst into laughter for absolutely no reason. And somehow, both sides are completely genuine. By the end of the trip, another pattern had become impossible to ignore: the rhythm of their conversations. Sometimes Riku accidentally became the comedian. Ryuichi immediately responded with the perfect comeback. Moments later, Ryuichi did something completely unexpected, and suddenly Riku was the one teasing him. Back and forth, without scripts, without planning, without trying. Their conversations flowed naturally after 7 years of living, training, traveling, and growing together. It wasn't comedy. It wasn't performance. It was simply their everyday life. One entertainment commentator described it perfectly. Watching Riku and Ryuichi feels like watching a couple who have spent years finishing each other's sentences. They already know what's coming next, yet they still laugh every single time. That observation resonated with thousands of fans, because everyone realized the same thing. This kind of chemistry cannot be rehearsed. It can only be earned through time. Their story didn't just captivate Japanese audiences. International media quickly noticed as well. Sports outlets across the world highlighted how refreshing it was to see world champions behaving like ordinary people. Instead of focusing only on medals and records, they focused on the tiny moments that revealed genuine partnership. The wrong train, the forgotten belongings, the endless laughter, the effortless trust. Those ordinary moments told a far more powerful story than any trophy ever could. Because long before Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara became one of the greatest pair teams in figure skating history, they first became something even more difficult to achieve. Two people who understood each other completely. As clips from the Canadian trip continued spreading online, one thing became clear. People weren't simply watching two elite athletes on vacation. They were watching two people who looked genuinely happy. Viewers from around the world left the same kind of comments. Their smiles feel completely natural. You can actually feel the warmth through the screen. One moment, in particular, captured everyone's heart. It was the scene where Riku and Ryuichi tried making traditional maple taffy. Instead of acting like world champions, they laughed like excited children, carefully rolling the warm maple syrup across fresh snow. Many international media outlets highlighted that scene, saying it perfectly captured the pure joy that sports can create. The Korean sports media praised their partnership, pointing out that Riku's famous comment about them having the same mental age wasn't just a funny joke. It represented something much deeper. True partnerships aren't built by age. They're built by time, by shared experiences, by growing together through victories and setbacks alike. Even Ryuichi's unexpected seal pose became popular overseas, with many fans saying they loved seeing Japanese athletes show such natural, playful personalities. Figure skating communities around the world reached a similar conclusion. The stories about forgotten belongings, boarding the wrong train, playfully teasing one another, those moments made people laugh. But they also revealed the real reason Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara became one of the strongest pairs in the world. Perfect performances don't begin under bright arena lights. They begin in everyday life. One respected sports columnist summed it up beautifully. The fact that Riku sometimes boards a train going in the wrong direction has absolutely nothing to do with figure skating. But the fact that Ryuichi knows she'll do it and still checks on her every morning tells you everything you need to know about their partnership. That's how championship teams are built, not through one spectacular moment, but through thousands of tiny acts of care that no audience ever sees. Several weeks after the television program aired, Riku posted a simple message on social media. "Our trip to Canada was so much fun, I hope we can go back someday." It wasn't a long post. It didn't need to be. Fans later noticed that Ryuichi had replied. The conversation itself remained private, but that quiet interaction reminded everyone that the journey had become a treasured memory for both of them. Then came another unforgettable chapter, nearly 3 years later. At the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina, Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara stood on the biggest stage in the world. When their performance ended, they embraced for nearly 30 seconds. Every television camera captured the moment. To most viewers, it looked like the celebration of an Olympic dream finally fulfilled. But perhaps, hidden inside that embrace were countless memories no camera could ever record. The mornings filled with forgotten item checks. The laughter over boarding the wrong train, the playful arguments about who was more mature, the maple taffy in Canada, the snow-covered mountains, the endless conversations, the ordinary days that quietly built an extraordinary partnership. Earlier in the documentary, one line stood out above all the others. To perform perfectly together, two hearts must become one. At first, it sounded like a description of pair skating, but looking back now, it feels like it describes something much bigger. It speaks to the challenge of truly understanding another person, to know their strengths, their weaknesses, their habits, their quirks, to know that they might forget something, to know they might take the wrong train, and to stand beside them anyway, not because they're perfect, but because they're your partner. For Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara, they found that person in each other. Before we finish, there's one final thought worth sharing. The sentence that made everyone laugh, "If I leave Riku alone, she'll be in trouble." On the surface, it's funny, but perhaps it's also one of the warmest expressions of affection anyone could ever make, because those words can only come from someone who knows another person completely, someone who understands every strength, every weakness, every absent-minded moment, and quietly chooses to be there anyway. That is what love looks like. That is what trust looks like. Sometimes it means checking for forgotten belongings. Sometimes it means picking someone up every morning. Sometimes it means cooking dinner after practice. And sometimes it means not zipping up someone's jacket because you trust they can do it themselves. Every one of those small moments became another brick in the foundation they were building together. Eventually, that foundation carried them to Olympic glory. It carried them to world titles. It carried them through victories, disappointments, and unforgettable memories. Looking back at those snowy mountains in Mont Tremblant, it's hard not to smile. They laughed about trains going the wrong direction. They joked about having the same mental age. They made silly poses in the snow. Maybe Riku's jacket zipper was still open, but one thing was never out of place. Their hearts were always moving in exactly the same direction. And perhaps that was the greatest victory of all. As Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara continue writing the next chapter of their remarkable journey, fans around the world share the same wish. May they always protect the freedom to laugh. May they never lose the warmth that made millions of people fall in love with them. And may they continue walking side by side, just as they did on that unforgettable winter day in Canada. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more inspiring stories from the world of figure skating. We'll see you in the next video.